Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coach Team Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's episode, we'll be working on the 33 chassis again. There's a few things we have to tidy up here. One being the panhard bar and the bushings. We need a proportioning valve to come in. We've got to run a couple of the other brake lines across the front. I also want to, or been asked to put the transmission cooler in because that's going to be tucked up underneath the cross member here. Once we have all that stuff done, the owner plans on coming and picking it up, taking it back to his place. He's going to do a little disassembly and some paint touch-up, and he wants to put the body back on, I shouldn't say back, but put the body on the chassis. Then it's ultimately going to come back to here. But while this is away, he's going to bring another project in here that we're going to work on in the meantime. So when that comes in, I'll introduce it. So if we get all that done on the 33 chassis, I will continue to work on the 5-window coupe, fixing the chop. And then also hopefully there's some small stuff that we can push forward on the Camera Ladies Roadster as well. So we'll keep moving on all three of these projects this week. So anyway, follow along and see what we're up to. We're back in the shop today. I was out of the shop for another business for 3 days. So I'm not sure how long the video will be this week. I'm going to do my best because I've got lots of things to do, quite a few things to show you. On the 33 chassis, one more thing I needed to do was put the transmission cooler in place. I have it there right now. I think that these bolts are going to clear the body when they set it on, but we're going to have to check. The gentleman that owns this, he's going to actually coming to pick this up today. So I'm kind of trying to finish off as many things as I can on this chassis that are going to be covered up when the body is sitting on it. Can always do things upside down, just not the first choice of a way to do things. So what he wants to do is come get this, take it back to his place, do some of the paint touch-up and stuff onto it, set the body onto it, put the rebuilt 276 motor, as well as, more than likely, I think he's going to go from the TH200 or 250 transmission that's there and put a Turbo Hydra 350 into it, which is just a little easier to find shifters for it and kickdown cables and all that stuff. So anyway, that's TBD. But anyways, he's going to do that stuff and bring it back. So what'll happen, I'm going to try and finish some of these things off. I'll show you something else I'm working on in a minute. He'll take it away today. He's going to bring another project in. So when it comes in, I'll introduce it. But for the time being, I'm going to work on the panhard bar on the back. Now, if you were following previously, I had the bracket already on the pumpkin, and I needed to attach it over there on the frame. So two things that happened was that it was an old panhard bar from another kit. I had to pull out the rubber bushings and sleeves. They were basically crusty and everything else. So I reached out to Welder series, which is now Paul Horton's Hot Rods here in Canada, to get another set of urethane bushings and sleeves that would fit this. The problem is that this kit, whoever made it however long ago, we're using 7/16 bolts. So I kind of only had a choice between 1/2 inch and 5/8 for the IDs here, which we can adapt to that. So since I was already making one of the brackets for the side of the frame, that's no big deal. The bracket that bolts onto the pumpkin was a little bit more of a challenge, but over the years, I've collected up and saved every sleeve from every kit. I've got another box of them up there. But I had a sleeve here, which if I drilled out this hole from out to 5/8, I could actually fit this sleeve into it and adapt this one to a 1/2 inch bolt hole. I mean, the reverse is I could probably drill out these sleeves to 7/16 and use the bolts, but kind of want to go with what's actually more common right now. The 1/2 inch bolt would be more than sufficient for our application. So I took that sleeve, I drilled this hole out, and then basically I took it over to the hydraulic press over there and press fit it inside here, because the OD of this sleeve is probably 5/8 plus a couple thou. That hole was a little smaller, so it was perfect. Actually, we wanted a slight zero fit or slight interference fit so that that sleeve would press into that hole and not wobble around and everything. So anyway, mission accomplished on that. I'm now going to take that bracket, put it back on the pumpkin. We'll start making the bracket for the frame. Oh, one other thing in this particular case, this rod was too long, so had to cut 1/2 inch off of it, retap this end so that the fitting would fit further into the rod. So I know I'm not showing you that stuff, but I'm kind of describing what we have to do to it. Basic things that unfortunately you have to do when you're either adapting parts from other kits to your hot rod, or finding stuff in the junkyard, or buying it from one supplier or another. I mean, this is just kind of stuff that, don't get frustrated over it. It's hot rodding. It's kind of things that we have to do. So right now I've got that rod at the right length. I've got my bushings in. I've got this one bracket ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is make a little bracket that will, with 2 ears, going to weld it to the side of the frame and hopefully get that in place before the owner shows up to pick up the chassis. So today's our lucky day. Going to have a shortcut to making these brackets. Probably, as I've shown you before, whenever I'm working on something, cutting a bracket off, making a new bracket, making a wrong bracket, I don't throw it away. I throw it in this box. I've got various pieces of tubing and everything else I keep in that box. This is sheet metal stuff. And then over against the wall, I've got to cut off pieces. I throw very little of this stuff away because you just never know when you're going to need it. So in this particular case, I've got a little bit of a shortcut today. I've got 2 tabs here right now that must have been from something else in this bin. Already have 1/2 inch holes drilled onto them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a shortcut on this one. I'm going to take those 2 brackets, going to make some nice little rounded edges and everything else. We're going to put it on the panhard bar there. We're going to weld it to the side, clean it up and make it look nice here. So a little less work, work from another day, carried over to today. So don't throw stuff out. So there's a panhard bar finished welded in place, the brackets over there. Had to move them up as high as I could, while also trying to consider that if we ever have to take it out, we can slide that bolt and nut this way, that way with the body on it. I mean, that's always a concern. You kind of, I don't know if you want to call it, landlock some of your components in under the chassis, because what you don't want to do somewhere in the future, if you have to adjust something or take something out, have to lift the body off to take something out. Always a risk when you're putting some of this stuff in. So anyways, we've got that in. I drilled a couple holes along the side of the frame for future brake lines, because we're not going to get those done in time for when the chassis gets picked up here. We'll have to do that later when the body is on. But for now, I think I've got as much done as I possibly can for the time allowed. So what I've got to do now, I've got to move all of that stuff over there, back in behind me where I'm standing, move the chassis over there so that when it comes in, we can roll it out and then make room for the other project coming in. So follow along here and we will show you the next project coming into the shop. Oh, here is the new project I want to introduce. Sorry, didn't show any slow motion or time lapse of us bringing it in or taking the other one out, but the 33 chassis is gone. What is here now is a 35 to 40 Ford frame. I think it's 35 to 41 pickup, if I'm not mistaken. This particular car, I believe, was off of a pickup. The intention right now, or the plan, what I've been asked to do, is build a 6-inch shortened truck bed on this frame. The owner has a 35 or 36 pickup truck at a friend's place. What he is doing is he's stretching the cab by 6 inches. And my task to help him out is to build a truck bed. We've done it before for the 32 pickup. It's the same basic principle. What he's given me is a crusty original 35 or a 36 truck bed sides, and then the end, and then there's a subframe there, most of the subframe. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this frame, I'm going to block it up or lift it up. We're going to start working, we're going to use the original subframe as much as we can. There's a new piece that has to be made. We're going to use that. But then as far as the sides and the back goes, we're going to make it out of new metal, much the same as what I did on the 32 pickup. And ultimately over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, build him a new 6-inch shortened truck bed. So anyway, follow along. This is the new project. So I took a little time to clean things up and lay things out. Decided to put the frame in the center of the garage where I had the 33 frame before. Got her jocked up on some stands, and just for now laid the subframe on the frame just to kind of see what kind of shape it's in. Looks like I'm going to have to do some pretty serious straightening of the cross pieces to get them nice and flat. The metal's pretty good, so I don't see why that's going to be an issue. Just a bunch of hammering and welding and straightening. And then here's the front section. So this is the section essentially is going to, I just have to confirm the 6 inches, move this section 6 inches back because the cab's going to go back 6 inches. The rest of the box, we're not going to adjust any of the other dimensions. Looks like we might have to weld on a patch here. That would be where the original gas tank, I think, would have gone through, but for some reason or other, someone's cut a hole here. I noticed on the side panel, there's an extra hole. Yeah, like that would have been the gas tank neck, and somebody put a bigger hole there, maybe a different gas tank from a different year or something. So just these sides basically are here so that I can get the dimensions off of them, lay out where all the beads are, where everything's folded over. Ultimately, what I'm going to be doing is making 2 sides like this with the same beads, everything bent over the same way to try and replicate what the 35 or 36 cab is going to, or box is going to be. We won't be painting it. As far as I know, we're just going to be making the sides and the back section. We'll lay that out. I won't be able to get this center bead on it like I didn't do it for my 32. We're more than likely going to lay out 4 vertical beads as opposed to 5 vertical beads, simply because the bead roller won't go in that far. Anyway, it's going to look the same, just more than likely just have 4 vertical beads instead of 5. Otherwise, everything else will be able to replicate on that. So anyways, right now, just kind of wrapping my head around what's here, what we have to work off of, kind of looking at the stuff we've got to take the measurements off of and everything else, and we're going to go from there. We'll start working on it. So today I decided I was going to pick away at one of the things on the Camera Lady's Roadster. There's no specific order that we're going to work on some of the outstanding stuff. We're just going to got a big list of things we have to hook up. One of the boxes I pulled out was the gas pedal, so kind of work on setting that up and putting it in. The one thing I did when I put the coil in was I really didn't account exactly for where the gas pedal was going to be, but right now it looks as though we're est away from it. However, when I go to look at what I did on the 32 pickup, even though I didn't have the coil there, I had the same situation happening where essentially it comes off the carburetor and snakes up just more towards the center of the firewall. The reason for that is actually the positioning of the gas pedal. You want to have your gas pedal 1.5 to 2 inches away from your brake pedal. So the way I started actually was to come inside here, take my gas pedal, position it on the firewall so that it's approximately, the pedal itself is approximately 2 inches away from the brake pedal. Now, a lot of times when you get these gas pedal setups, the foot part is on the right side and the lever's on the left. Well, there's really nothing stopping you from undoing it and reversing it, which is what I've done. The other thing is that if you find that you have to put this hinge further over on your firewall, there's actually nothing stopping you from taking this gas pedal here, the pedal part, and actually bending it over and putting an S into it, which is what I had to do on the 32 pickup. We are probably going to do the same thing here on the Camera Ladies Roadster. On the 32 pickup, if you look down here, I ultimately, in order for everything to work properly, I had to put a little S on the pedal. There's nothing wrong with that. You kind of have to make the levers go where the cables go where they go, and ultimately have about 2 inches, 2.5 inches between the brake pedal and the gas pedal. That way, when you push on one, you're not going to hit the other one. I mean, try it. The best thing to do is put it in and try it. Get your gas pedal where you want it to be, close to where you want to be. Sit in the car, put your shoes on, and then press on each one of them. And then ultimately, that gas pedal, if you have to move it to the right or to the left, just take it off, bend it. If you have to extend it a little bit, there's nothing stopping you from cutting it and extending it. It'll change the mechanical advantage onto it, but ultimately you're going to get a feel for your gas pedal later on anyway, so no big deal on that. You got to make it so that it works, and like I said, you're not putting your foot down and hitting both of them at the same time. So what we're going to do now, I have the outer cable cut and in place. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drill the holes to mount that to the firewall. I am going to take this piece, I'm going to take this piece off. We're going to bend it a little bit, put a little S into it, so it's going to be a little closer to the brake pedal, and then we'll get her in. So there's a better angle of the gas pedal installation. Like I said, I took it over to the other garage and I bent the pedal about 1 inch to the left, and then I added about 1 inch to the gas pedal right here, so it extends a little bit all the way. And then I put the cable in and adjusted it. So right now, when I push on the gas pedal all the way, I'm coming to within, I think, 1/2 inch of the tunnel at wide open throttle. That can still be adjusted some. Worst comes to worst, I undo this and I turn it up, or I take the pedal arm and I bend it up. But like right now, I've got just a little over 2 inches between the gas pedal and the brake pedal. And then on the inside of, on the carburetor side, it turns or pulls all the way in. So right now, like if I were to go inside there, the gas pedal, actually, don't know if you can see it or not, it comes down right there to within, I think, about 1/2 inch of the floor. So mission accomplished on the gas pedal. If there's any fine tuning, like I said, I can still take that pedal off if I find that after we put the carpet in, it's actually hitting the carpet. Not that I'm going to drive this thing with wide open throttle, but still I can take the arm off and adjust it to the right, to the left, wherever you need it. But right now it's in and functional. We've got it opening the carburetor all the way, and it's at a decent position for where the gas pedal should be relative to the brake pedal. So one more thing off the list for now for the Camera Ladies Roadster, gas pedal is in. So back on working on the 35 pickup bed project. Kind of looking at the sub rails, as I said earlier, things were not straight at all. you can't build a good box unless you have a good foundation. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to focus on working on the sub rails first. Going to clean them up. I just finished drilling all of the rivets out on all the pieces here. So there was 4 pieces in total. There's another piece on the back. It's up at Jeff York's Restorations. He's going to make the back piece. The owner asked him to make it because his break is greater than 48 inches. Our breakdown back there is great break, but it's only 48 inches. And I think the piece that has to go to back here across the back is 52 inches. So the owner of this vehicle knows Jeff really well, works with him a lot. It's going to get him to make the back piece, so we're not going to worry about that. What I'm going to focus on, though, is trying to get some of these pieces straightened out. So as you can see, a lifetime of probably carrying all kinds of stuff in the back of the bed kind of bent those up. So I'm not sure how I'm going to straighten them out. Might very well put them on the hydraulic press and try and bend them back. Thinking about, I don't know if the shrinker stretcher is going to help us because it's quite stick metal. I'm thinking straighten the edges out, take the wows out of everything, and then do kind of hopefully like what I do with a when I'm re-arcing a spring. We're going to try and re-arc these pieces until they're flat. So got quite a bit of cleanup work to do first. Probably going to take all those, heat up all those inserts, take the threads out and everything else, wire wheel everything, and then try to ever so gently tweak those back into shape, because the owner would prefer that we reuse these pieces versus making new ones. Now, the forward piece that's closest to the cab is actually quite straight. Doesn't have any wows into it. Some of the brackets are bent on the end, so we'll straighten those out, clean that up a little bit. But anyways, that's first step. Next up is to try and straighten out those cross pieces. So tonight decided to work on the first cross rail for the sub rails on the pickup bed. Now the first one that I was working with was not quite as bad as this one, but if you can see how much of a warp there's in it, both the upper and lower flanges need to be flattened. Got to take the screws out. Now in order to take the screws out, basically what I did, I cut off the bottom of the bolt and then just heated this bolt until I get it red hot with a propane torch. And then they came out quite easily just with a pair of vice grips on the thread. So took that out of those. Now, trying to think of some way to bend it and straighten it. Obviously, over time, weight put it down. One would think if I can strain it right, I can bend it back, which is ultimately what I wanted to do. I did take the first one over to the hydraulic press and tried putting it across there, but on a point form, I was getting too much deformation. So I couldn't figure out what to do, so I came up with this contraption here. I did, however, first of all, try heating a section here and then cooling it, thinking that heat it up, shrink, heat, shrink, heat, shrink. And it did help some, but ultimately this little MacGyvered up, if you forgive the expression, those of you who watch the show, you would know what I mean. I MacGyvered this little situation up here. The intention being to basically apply pressure all along here incrementally until you basically deform the piece down slightly. The problem is that when you apply too much pressure here, if you don't put it over this edge and keep it clamped from flipping side to side, we need to apply pressure right here to push it down. So I've gone back and forth probably 15, 20 times now. It's taken quite a bit of work. I think I've almost got it, but before I take it apart, I wanted to show you what I was doing in order to straighten that out. So right now we are, I would say, very close. I'll probably get another 1/8 of an inch or so to work out of it. So I'm going to carry on just basically applying pressure till, so right here, I've got, I think it's about a 1/4 inch gap on either end. So what I'll do is I'll apply pressure until this gap here narrows down and take it off. And what'll happen, of course, it'll spring back some, but it'll stretch a little bit. So I just work my way along here, readjust it, and incrementally keep on going until we get it flat. So far I've taken probably almost 3/4 of an inch out of it. I'm thinking there's another 1/8 of an inch left to go. Probably going to have to do a little bit of straightening after I'm done, but that should be easier to do than getting the bow out of it. So I'm sure there's a better way. Someone will probably tell me, why didn't I do such and such? But this is what I came up with tonight, and it's working. Well, there's the final result of straightening out the first cross section or cross piece for the sub rails. I did have to go onto the shrinker and shrink some of this because I had a bit of a wow this way. So by shrinking this material, I was able to straighten it out. There we go, like that. We're good. And then if you look along the bottom, we are within like a 1/16 of flat. I mean, we're better. It's as straight as I'm going to get an original piece without spending, 10 or 20 more hours at it. But it's a far cry from kind of what we started with, which was something like this. So next up, we've got to do the same thing again. I'm going to start off just like I did with the other one. Not drop stuff on the floor, but we're going to remove the bolts, the threaded screws, bolts, nuts, or whatever you want to call it, the threaded pieces here from it. We're going to straighten the flange out. And then I may try and do something with the hydraulic press, make something a little more permanent versus using the clamps as many times as I did. I think I can extend that bottom piece and weld something onto it so that it sits up, and then we can incrementally, change the arch, take the arc out of it little by little. So because essentially the metal is just bent and stretched. Now we just have to get it back to flat again. So same approach, and we'll start that next. So here's the back piece. I did the same thing as last time. I cut the top piece of the threads off, heated up the holes, pulled the threaded parts out, and then what I did, I went over to the bench over there on the vise, and I basically hammered the flanges so they're flat, because these flanges were wavy and everything else. I want to start off with something flat. And then to take the same approach as last time, instead of having, I just welded these little parts on here to this piece of 1x2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try using a little bit of heat. I'm going to put some F-clamps across here. I'm going to apply some heat, and hopefully that'll actually help me basically straighten this out, because as I think you can see, we still get a little bit of a smile happening to it. It would be really nice if I had a longer piece of 1x2 here, but we're going to make do with what we got. We'll do it in a couple stages. Don't want to spend a tremendous amount of hours on this. If I had to do a whole lot more, like I said, I think I would make some sort of a jig. But once I have this piece straightened, that's it for now. Maybe never do it again, but just kind of try and come up conceptually on what you need to do to straighten this out. Somehow we need to hold it in place, make sure it's flat, and then basically overstretch it ever so slightly down below here so that when we let go, it's going to spring back, hopefully flat. More than likely it'll take a couple attempts like it was last time, but hopefully this second piece will go faster than the first one. So we'll show you here as I go. hopefully, as you can see from the time lapse, I heated it up and applied the clamps from the pressure. It looks quite straight right now. I've got both flanges straight. I'm gonna let this cool down, come back out after supper with it in place, and then maybe have to do this one more time. But I think at this point, we are very, very straight. Just a matter of if there's gonna be any spring back or not. If there's a little spring back, just do the same thing all over again. Hopefully we'll get her straight, but more than halfway there now. So there's the end result. After the time lapse, I did straighten it out. I still needed to go in at 1/4 of an inch. So that same process I repeated again, basically putting the clamps onto it, putting some heat to it, and then just trying to take the last little wow out of it. So right now, that flat section, it sits. Well, I mean, I can see a little bit of light there, but for all intents and purposes, it's as flat as we can with original metal. So that is the second cross piece that's going to go on the sub rail. That's as far as I can really go with everything this week. We've run out of time this week for the video, so we'll carry on with this next week. The section that goes up against the cab just needs a little bit of tweaking. It's flat, so that's not a big deal. We'll carry on with the sub rails for the box, go as far as we can. We'll work on that next week, and then whatever else, I guess. But that's it for this week at Coldstream Rod Shop. New project. 33 chassis went out. It will come back with a body at some point in time. But for now, we're going to work on the box for 35. We'll keep on working on the 5-window coupe when we can, and we'll keep working on the Camera Ladies Roadster. But that's it for this week. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe. Send me your comments, and come on back next week and see what we're up to. Everybody have a great weekend, and take care.